Hello everyone out there in Hockey Fantasy Land. This is the Fantasy Hockey Report with your hosts Steve and my partner here Jeff.
Yep, and we're back here now with our third installment of the debut, and we're going to be taking a look at some potential free agent guys that you can go and take a look at possibly adding to your fantasy pools.
Now we understand that in leagues there's differing amounts of teams in each league. For instance, some can have upwards of 20 to 15, 12, 10. In the league that Jeff and myself are in, we both go up against a league of 10 teams. So depending on how many players you have on your team, some of these free agents that we'll talk about, you might not be able to get a hold of those guys, and other guys that might still be hanging around the free agency. So they're just an idea of some players to keep your eyes on, keep under your radar, and you can maybe look for in the future.
Yeah, the first few guys we'd like to take a look at are guys that you should already have picked up already if you haven't. That's guys that play on top lines or second scoring lines, such as the Christian Huseliuses and Damon Lankows from Calgary, to the Mike Richards of Philadelphia, the Corey Stillmans of Carolina and such.
Yeah, especially guys from Carolina right now. Those secondary players are just really kicking it up for them. You've got those like sexy picks like Eric Stahl and Rod Brindamore and Eric Cole, but you got those guys like Stillman and Cullen who have really been putting together pretty nice seasons so far. So those are guys to take a look at. Then you've got some of like those lesser guys, lesser known guys like Radin Verbata from Phoenix, who's really coming into his own lately. He's really putting together a pretty nice season, eh?
Yeah, he is. He's definitely turning around his season, and it's good for the Phoenix Coyotes to have after especially getting a guy like Brizgalov, who's a goalie you should also be taking a look at if he's still out there. And that whole team in general is just they've definitely hit a turning point in their franchise, and it looks good for them in the future.
Yeah, there's a lot of young kids on that team that you're going to want to take a deep hard look at in the coming years. Some other guys to maybe look at would be out of Los Angeles. There's a bevy of young talented players on that team. Guys that you should already have are guys like Anze Kopitar and Dustin Brown. These are two guys that are just really starting to make a staple. Dustin Brown is power forward of power forwards. This is a guy that's really coming into his own this season. And Anze Kopitar, there's nothing bad you can say about this guy. If you've ever watched the Los Angeles Kings game, you notice this guy the minute he steps onto the ice. He can take over a game. He's that good of a hockey player.
Yeah, definitely. Those are two guys you should definitely be taking a look at if they're out there. And another guy to take a look at would probably be Mike Richards from the Philadelphia Flyers, who's just absolutely tearing it up right now. He's gone from more of a power forward to just a scoring machine this season. If he is for some reason out there, you should be having him on your team.
Yeah, there's
right
no
now.
reason why a guy like Mike Richards should be sitting in free agency in your pools. He's just amazing. And staying on that, if you're looking for a guy that's on a roll, Joffrey Lupul. What is going on with this guy? 2 hat-tricks last week, and he's scoring again lately. He's just been a guy on a tear. I think he's got 7 goals in his last 6 games.
Yeah.
Just really coming into his own. He struggled all of last season playing in Edmonton, and maybe he was trying to fill in some big shoes and big skates and Chris Pronger, the departure of Chris Pronger in that deal. But he's coming into his own lately, so he's a player that you're going to want to look out for.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking of a few other guys you might want to take a look at, guys maybe that are probably still out there would be guys like an Alexei Kovalev from Montreal, who's having a great season right now, over 5 power play goals already this season. He's definitely tearing it up.
He's a player that has struggled with consistency over the last couple of seasons, but he seems to be playing with the confidence and a chip on his shoulder this year, like he's wanting to prove something to someone. Sticking with Montreal, could look at some players such as Chris Higgins. He's playing on the top line, getting top line minutes, and he's a guy that you're really going to want to put in your lineup. He's a guy that could maybe pot 30 goals at some point in his career. And 2 other guys on the Montreal Canadiens might not be ready to be picked up right now, but for you keeper leagues out there, the guys that you might want to take a look at down the line, and I'm talking about the Kostitsyn brothers. These are 2 guys that have a lot of offensive upside, and they're guys that you're going to want to take a look at in a couple of years.
Yeah, definitely. And of course, not to leave the Leaf fans out of this, jump over to Toronto team, and obviously the first guy to look at who's a big surprise is Nick Antropov, who's just having an absolutely excellent season so far. He had some great training this off season. It really worked on his skating, and it shows because he's having probably his best season to date. I mean, this is a guy that has a career best of 18 goals, and he's on pace for well over 30 this season.
So these are definitely some players that you're going to want to take a look at in your pools. They might still be hanging around on the free agent market. There's a bevy of other guys out there. You've got Mike Green from Washington Capitals. He's got 8 goals already this season. He's a guy to take a look at. And even out of nowhere, Dustin Byfuglien from the Chicago Blackhawks, a guy with the crazy last name, and he's got 8 goals already this season. I think maybe scored his 9th the other day. But he's really playing hard. He's a guy that gets some looks on forward as well, so he's a guy to take a good hard look at. So there's a lot of these young guys that are really starting to come into their own this season. So keep your eyes out for those guys and see what's coming up, because there's a lot of young talented players out there in the free agent pool that you might be able to pick up.
Exactly.
All right, so good luck as always in your fantasy pools, and we'll see you next time. Take care, guys. Good luck.